Welcome to today's Explainer. Sometimes real life is so incredibly intense, it feels exactly like a movie script. And that is absolutely the case with what we're looking at today. We are diving into the 2003 Manchester chatroom mystery. It's a true crime story so deeply disturbing that the UK media actually permanently banned the publication of the real names involved. So for our Explainer today, we're just going to call these two boys Tom and Peter. Buckle up because the psychology we are about to unpack is literally going to blow your mind.
Our story actually kicks off right at the climax. It's June 29th, 2003. Picture a quiet, completely deserted alleyway. Two teenage boys are just out for a walk. All of a sudden, 16-year-old Tom tells his 14-year-old friend Peter to turn around, and the second he does, Tom stabs him. But here is where this goes from a tragic assault to a totally bizarre, movie-level mystery. Because Tom doesn't run away, he doesn't panic, he just stands there. He literally watches his friend suffer on the ground for 20 agonizing minutes. And it's only when he thinks Peter is gone that he finally, calmly, picks up his phone, calls the cops, and confesses.
Okay, let's dive into this, because while Peter was bleeding out on the ground, he actually looked up and asked his friend why he was doing this, and Tom looked right back down at him and delivered this totally chilling deadpan line. He said, "If you knew the whole story, you would understand why I did it." That one single sentence immediately told the cops that this was not just some random act of violence. There was a massive, incredibly dangerous secret hiding right underneath this seemingly straightforward confession.
Right, so to actually understand a plot that feels this much like a Hollywood thriller, we really have to hit rewind. Section 1, rewind to February 2003. This takes us back 4 months to the very beginning of a deeply dangerous digital obsession. Let's meet our cast of characters in the real world. On one side, we've got Tom. He's 16, working a part-time job as a dishwasher, basically just living a super ordinary, average life. On the flip side, we have Peter. He's only 14, but he is incredibly intelligent, literally the top of his class. But behind the scenes, Peter was dealing with a really tense and highly stressful family life at home. Seeking a way to escape from their harsh real-world lives, these two completely different worlds collided in a brand new text-based internet chat room. And this brilliantly illustrates the rules of this 2003 digital landscape, which made this entire crazy setup possible. Think back to bulky desktop computers and those screeching dial-up connections. We're talking no webcams, no video calls, and zero visual verification. It was total, absolute anonymity. In this environment, making up an entirely fake persona and totally deceiving someone wasn't just possible, it was literally child's play. Section 2, the web of fake characters. With the stage set, this chat room essentially turns into a massive labyrinth, and Tom is about to get sucked into a terrifying psychological trap that is way more elaborate than he could ever comprehend.
It all starts out innocently enough. Step 1. Tom meets a user named Rachel, who claims she's a 16-year-old gym worker. They hit it off and quickly become online boyfriend and girlfriend. But then, the genre of our movie completely shifts to horror. Step 2. A guy named Kevin enters the chat claiming to be a stalker who has actually kidnapped Rachel. And then Step 3 brings in a woman named Janet, suddenly thrusting Tom into this wild world of international espionage. Let's break down how this escalated so fast.
First up, the stalker, Kevin. Kevin tells Tom he has Rachel hostage, but he doesn't want money. Nope. Claiming to have a foot fetish, Kevin demands photos of Tom's feet as the ransom. It is so deeply weird, but Tom is absolutely terrified, so he complies. He sends the photos. Rachel is supposedly freed, but then she just vanishes from the internet entirely. And rumors start spreading through the chat room that Rachel has actually been murdered. Tom is crushed. He's drowning in guilt and desperation over the death of his online girlfriend. He's just completely broken.
And right when Tom is at his absolute lowest, about a month after Rachel vanishes, the manipulation kicks into high gear. Enter Janet. She claims she's a 44-year-old elite MI6 agent who reports directly to Queen Elizabeth herself. Janet totally preys on the grieving Tom, promising him massive wealth, elite social status, and even romance. But there's a catch. She has one very strict condition. To get all this, Tom has to join British intelligence. The missions Janet starts giving him totally blur the line between reality and fantasy. First, she tells Tom he needs to act as a secret bodyguard for a highly important VIP named James Bell. And guess who James Bell is supposed to be? Tom's real-life friend Peter, supposedly living under a cover identity. So Tom literally guards Peter during a completely normal dentist appointment. But then we get to task 2. Janet orders Tom to assassinate Peter. She tells him Peter's death is absolutely critical to protect national secrets and an 800 million pound underwater vault. I know, it sounds literally out of a James Bond flick, but Tom believed every single word. Now, what's really interesting about this is the abort code Janet gave Tom for this assassination mission. She told him if he heard this highly classified code, he had to stop the attack immediately. The code? 6969. The fact that Tom actually accepted such a ridiculous, frankly childish number as a top-secret MI6 abort code really shows you just how incredibly brainwashed and completely detached from reality he had become. He was 100% under the chat room's spell. But hey, every good movie has a third act twist, right? Section 3, 18 accounts exposed. When digital forensic investigators finally dug into the server logs for this chat room, they found a shocking truth that just completely defied all logic. The police discovered exactly 189 fake accounts operating inside that specific chat room environment. I mean, that is a massive, bustling digital community. But here is the truly terrifying reality. Out of all 189 of those accounts, there was only one real person being targeted: Tom. He was completely alone in this digital world. Every single other account, the friends, the enemies, the random bystanders, Rachel, Kevin, Janet, literally all of them were controlled by one single mastermind who was just playing this incredibly elaborate game of digital puppetry. So the massive question hanging in the air for investigators was simply, who? Who would dedicate hundreds and hundreds of hours to meticulously destroying the mind of a 16-year-old dishwasher? Who was the mastermind behind all 189 accounts? So the crucial point is, the mastermind was Peter, the 14-year-old victim. The kid who was stabbed in the alleyway had actually orchestrated every single detail of his own attempted murder. It is a plot twist that rivals literally any psychological thriller ever written. No way, right? But it's true. To even begin to understand why he did this, we have to unpack Peter's incredibly dark and tangled psychology. You see, Peter wanted a connection with Tom in the real world, so he created the Rachel avatar to date him online. But then, crazily enough, Peter actually became intensely jealous of the relationship Tom had with Rachel, a character Peter himself was controlling. So he invented Janet, the MI6 agent, just to force Tom to spend real-life time with him, which is exactly why he set up that fake bodyguard mission at the dentist. Eventually, though, this massive digital lie became so suffocating that Peter felt he couldn't escape this fantasy world he'd built. So he used Janet to order his own assassination just to end the whole thing. And honestly, this is the absolute most chilling fact of that entire climax in the alleyway. When Tom pulled out the knife and started the attack, Peter fully knew the abort code. He knew that all he had to do was say 6969 and Tom would drop the weapon instantly. But Peter deliberately chose not to use it. He literally let himself be stabbed and left to suffer on the ground just to see his own scripted, movie-like fantasy play out to the very bitter end. Section 4. Historic and unique verdict. Obviously, when a story is this unprecedented, it creates a wildly unique challenge for the legal system. The courts suddenly had to figure out how to handle a brutal crime born entirely out of digital manipulation. The fallout was huge. For the very first time in legal history, a victim was actually convicted of inciting their own attempted murder. The judge recognized the incredibly intense psychological damage at play here. So rather than traditional prison, both Tom and Peter were sent to specialized rehabilitation centers. They were slapped with strict lifelong bans from ever using internet chat rooms again. And because of their ages and just how bizarre this entire crime was, their true identities were permanently sealed and hidden from the public forever. So what does this all mean for us today? This entire crazy movie-like saga happened way back in 2003, right? When we just had slow dial-up and basic text on a screen. It really makes you wonder, what are the true limits of internet anonymity right now? If a disconnected mind could be so easily and thoroughly manipulated into committing murder back then, how much more vulnerable are we today, living in an age of hyper-realistic deepfakes, AI, and constant digital connection? It's a pretty terrifying thought, and it definitely proves that sometimes the most unbelievable movie-like stories don't happen on a screen at all. They happen right here in the real world.